Hey, Alexas.
Hey, what's up?
I've got something to tell you.
Oh, right now? We're about to start the show.
No. I mean, it can wait.
Okay.
But actually, it's going to be on my chest, so I feel like I need to get this out.
Okay, well, what's up?
So my dad, he applied for a new job.
Okay,
and
it's
great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it may include a potential move.
Whoa. You're moving?
Okay, it's not final
Away?
yet. It's not final
Januar,
yet.
what about the show?
Hold on.
Oh, no.
It's not final yet.
Okay.
But I need you to keep this, kind of quiet. Just don't tell anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you can trust me.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Because, nobody knows yet. So
Right.
I don't want it to be a thing when it's not
Right.
a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Wow, this is big news.
No, it's going to be fine.
Okay.
But right now, we can go ahead and start the show, though. Let's do it.
Okay.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show.
Hey.
We have an awesome show planned for you. I can't wait to get going. Alexis, tell everybody what we got in store.
Yeah,
Alexis, you there?
but I mean, soon you won't be, and I can't bear the thought of you're not gonna be on the show, and you're gonna move away, and you're my friend.
What? Moving? No. Who said anything about moving?
You did, January.
Wait, you're moving?
Well,
Jan, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, what are we gonna do? This is the worst day ever.
guys, it's not final yet. My dad may be getting another job, which will require us to move, but he hasn't heard back yet. I should know more later. But Alexis, I specifically asked you not to tell anybody.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. You can't just drop a bomb like that right before we're starting the show. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Just act like everything's okay?
I mean, kind of. I thought I could trust you.
Oh, January, you can trust me. I'm your friend.
Well, this gives me a good main point for today's show.
Okay.
God's love helps me be a faithful friend.
Oh, yeah. But can you forgive me? What can I do to make it better?
I'll think about it.
Okay.
What does it mean to be faithful? Well, let's look to God, who is faithful, to find the answer. Describing what God is like can be difficult, so we have to go to the Bible to find out how. The people who wrote the Bible describe God like this: compassionate, gracious, slow to anger, and overflowing with love and faithfulness. And today, we're going to look at that last characteristic of God, faithfulness. The word, in its original Hebrew language, is emet, which means faithfulness or truth, but it all has to do with reliability or stability. And when you're talking about people, it means someone who has a trustworthy character. So to say that God is a God of faithfulness doesn't just mean that he tells the truth, it means that he's trustworthy. All throughout the Bible, we find people going through difficult circumstances, and yet, despite these challenges, they chose to trust God. They considered him trustworthy. Just like King David, he consistently relied on God. In Psalm 108, he writes, "For great is your love, higher than the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the skies. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth." Psalm 108, 4-5. Now, trusting anyone can be risky because it's hard to know if they'll be faithful or not. But when we read the Bible, we see that God always has been and always will be faithful. He's fulfilled all of his promises through his son, Jesus. And so, because of Jesus, we can be just like King David, showing our faithfulness to God. And God can trust us and rely on us to do his will.
Hey everybody!
What's up?
Welcome to Challenge Time!
So glad you're here
Today we have a special challenge time for you, and we are outside filming it.
Outside. Can you tell us why we're outside?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked, but before I tell you, I've got to go get us some safety gear.
Cool.
Here you go.
All right. We have
Put it on,
lab
please.
coat. Safety first. So what have you got us into?
Okay, let me show you what we're doing today.
Okay. Was that there the whole time?
Yes, I can't believe you didn't notice it.
Okay.
It's right under my feet.
Well, what are we gonna do at the water?
Why don't you check your pockets?
Pockets. Pockets.
Rubber bands!
Okay. Cool.
Okay, let's get these open. Oh yeah,
Okay.
get those open. Yeah, get all those
Okay.
open.
Okay.
We're gonna take these rubber bands and we're gonna stretch them around the watermelon. Eventually the watermelon will explode. That's why we have our safety gear. Yes, don't try this at home, kids. Can you help me?
Okay.
First one. A little slippery.
Just kidding.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
I think we're getting close.
Woo! Man,
This thing is not budging.
not at all. We should name it.
I feel like I've gotten to know him. What about Walter? He's a Walter melon. There it is.
Hey, Tev, what you doing? I'm listening to him.
He says more rubber bands.
More rubber bands!
Speaking so much. Okay, I'm a little nervous. Let's do three. Look, it's happening. It's happening. Man, you work it. Well, I think this was our most successful challenge time yet.
Definitely the most delicious.
Oh. Well, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Our story begins in the land of Israel as we look into one of the best examples of friendship in the Bible. This is Jonathan, who was the son of King Saul, and Jonathan was heir to the throne. He was also a great warrior in Israel's army and known to be a man of action. When it came to defending Israel from the Philistines, Jonathan and his armor bearer went on the attack and won a battle for the entire nation, instead of staying back to take a defensive posture as the king had instructed. This is David, a young shepherd boy who was anointed by God to become the next king. Very similar to Jonathan, he was also known to be a courageous man, standing up for himself and his nation. After defeating Goliath the giant, David became a hero and was brought before King Saul, where he first met Jonathan, and they immediately became friends. Jonathan was so impressed with what David had done, and an immediate bond was forged between them. After David's heroic encounter with Goliath, it was easy to see why he became such good friends with Jonathan. To name a few similarities, they both had courage and took the initiative to act. They had great faith in God's power, and they thought and acted alike. Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. They were best friends. Jonathan, out of his deep love for David, made a pact with him and showed him that by giving David his robe and weapons. Jonathan believed something King Saul refused to accept. Because of Saul's disobedience to God, he had chosen a man after his own heart to become the next king of Israel. Although Jonathan was Saul's son and therefore next in line to be the king of Israel, God chose someone outside of his family to be the next king. So as Jonathan gave his sword and belt away, he had such a good heart and knew that David must be the one who God anointed to be the next leader of Israel. There was no envy or jealousy in Jonathan's heart towards David, because true friends want God's will for each other. When you're a good friend, you want the best for your friend. And Jonathan was 100% for the success of David. It wasn't a competition. Jonathan was fully committed to the relationship with his best friend. From that time on, David was successful in all that he did, and God's people loved him. Saul liked him at first, but soon became very jealous and angry with David because of all the recognition he received. Afraid that David might replace him as king, Saul tried to kill David a couple of times, but nothing worked. David came out of every situation alive and well. King Saul told Jonathan and all his servants to get rid of David, but Jonathan decided to warn his friend. Jonathan was forced to choose between loyalty to his father, who was doing wrong, and David. Jonathan went to his father, King Saul, and tried to talk him out of harming David. For a time, David was safe from King Saul's plans, But not long after, the king's jealousy and anger came back as he tried to kill David again. David got away, and his loyal and honest friend Jonathan came to help and protect him. Jonathan tried to talk his father out of hurting David one more time, but this made King Saul even more angry, and he was convinced David needed to be gone. "Jonathan, don't you know that as long as David is alive, you'll never be king? He must die." "But father, David has done nothing wrong," Jonathan replied. Then Saul threw his spear at Jonathan, trying to kill his own son. Jonathan was angry and sad that his father would not let his friend go. And he knew that David would have to go into hiding and run from King Saul. Jonathan met David one last time to say their goodbyes. David was so grateful for the incredible friend he had in Jonathan and showed that by bowing down before him. They hugged and cried together, but David cried the most. Jonathan told David to go in peace, and they had a special bond in God's name. Then Jonathan returned back to town, and David left and lived a life on the run until it was time for him to become the next king of Israel. Even though they were separated, the two were the best of friends and were an encouragement to one another.
All right, so Alexis and I chatted a bit, and we're all good.
We're good.
I shouldn't have given her such big news at the worst moment possible.
Also, I should have just kept it between you and me and not have maybe told the whole world while we were rolling. Sorry.
Hey, I mean, now I don't have to tell everybody, am I right? So it kind of worked out. Pretty relieving, actually.
True, but as you see, in the meantime, a lot has happened, and we also saw an amazing example of what it looks like to be a faithful friend in the story of Jonathan and David. Even though David left, just as you're about to leave me.
Oh, stop it. But in all seriousness, they had the best friendship, and they had one main thing in common. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it was their faith in God. Sure, Jonathan was impressed that David defeated the giant Goliath, but what drew Jonathan to him was his trust and faith in God.
Exactly. The Bible writes in 1 Samuel 18:2, after David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself.
You know, this is so cool because when we put our faith in Jesus, he invites us into his family, the family of God. As a result, to help us in our lives, he gives us the Holy Spirit to live in us and come alongside us. All that so that we can follow God's will.
And his will is that we will be united in our faith and that we will love one another. Jesus said, "By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another."
Even when it's not always easy.
Just like how Jonathan and David faced some really difficult challenges, but they stayed faithful.
Being a faithful friend means you are willing to give up your own valuable things for a friend.
Jonathan not only gave up some of his physical possessions to David, he also gave up his birthright to become king.
He loved David so much that he also risked his own life to save David.
And Jesus loves us so much that he laid down his life for us. I mean, crazy to think about it, but to become faithful friends that can be trusted, we must know that God has always been faithful to us.
Yeah, God has and always will keep his promises. He'll never leave you even when times get hard. He will always be there when we need him the most.
So think about your friendships. I'm sure you have someone come to mind who has always been kind to you and that you know you can trust. Others, maybe not so much. Maybe you can think of a time when you thought you were friends, but then they ended up doing something that hurt you.
Yeah, we can't control the people around us. That's why we need to work on ourselves and become the best friends possible. So think about Jonathan's love for David and think about Jesus' love for us. Only then can we be faithful friends to others.
That's so good. So remember, God's love helps me be a faithful friend.
I love it.
Oh, hey, wait, I got a message.
Yeah,
It's my dad.
it is?
Turns out the job didn't work out and we won't be
What?
moving. We won't be moving after all.
What? Wait,
I know.
Sorry about your dad, but that means you're staying!
I'm staying.
January's not leaving!
Group hug.